Today's podcast is brought to you in part by General Provision and Sarson Funds. Sarson Funds, real, clear crypto.
When I was doing the berries, I realized that if you can do what you love for your work or your career, it makes for a more fruitful life.
Oh.
Pun intended.
Got it.
And when you add hard work together with passion, that is when anything is possible and dreams become reality.
Sacks in the Morning. Sports, money, life. Steve Sacks.
Hi, Steve Sacks here with Sacks in the Morning. And today is our opportunity to have our long-form guests, and I think you're going to really enjoy who we have today. All of you have heard of this person. She is a fellow Sacramentan as well. And this is Shari Fitzpatrick, formerly of Shari's Berries. Wait till you hear her story. She's somebody that took out a $1,500 cash advance and turned that into a multi-million-dollar mail order company. Today, she's a motivational speaker and a winemaker and still dipping berries in her new company called Berried in Chocolate. She also talks about the love of her life, her husband, Clay. They've been together for 40 years. Just an amazing story. So with that, I want to introduce to you Shari Fitzpatrick. All right, Shari, tell us a little bit about, obviously, right out of the gate, how in the world did you get into dipping strawberries?
Well, Steve, I was actually destined to sell strawberries for a living.
Yeah.
I'm a classic entrepreneur. As I mentioned, I'm from Southern Oregon. My dad always had a big garden, which included a strawberry patch for me. And it somehow became my job to go out and pick the berries. And that's kind of where my love affair with strawberries began. They were just always my favorite fruit. And when I got out of high school, I had absolutely no idea what to do with my life. It seemed like all my friends, one was going to be a nurse and this and that, and I didn't have a clue. But I was raised by a really amazing man, my stepdad named Ben, and he was really driven, and he was such an inspiration in my life. So I just wanted to have fun. We had fun. We worked hard and we played hard. That was kind of our theme, and I wanted to continue that in my life. So when I got out of school, my older brother, Rick, 10 years older than me, stepbrother, he offered me a job in Los Angeles working for his mortgage firm. I was 20 years old. I went to college for like a year, just taking fun classes just to go and try to figure something out, right? Yeah. Anyway, so at 20 years old, I was a stockbroker for 4.5 years, rookie of the year, and did really well and grew up really fast in Los Angeles as a mortgage broker. I always loved numbers, always like, if someone gave my mom back the wrong change and I was like 4 years old, I'd pull on her skirt and say, that wasn't right. So I just always loved numbers. And it turned out to be that I just loved to be really innovative. And my sister-in-law, Emily, is an amazing cook and caterer. And she introduced me to the concept of dipping my beloved strawberries in chocolate. And I just took it from there. And so chocolate dipped strawberry gift baskets became my signature gift as a mortgage broker in Los Angeles, and how I marketed myself. I hate brown nosing. I like face to face. And so I'd come in with these strawberries to these real estate hoity-toity ladies, and they would lose their mind. They were so happy. And then they'd give me all this mortgage business for their clients, and I was really happy. So it was just, it wasn't rocket science, right? And it just was fun. It was my hobby, and I loved it. And after 4.5 years, I was a little homesick. I wanted to get a little closer to Southern Oregon. So I moved to Reno. Not knowing, I just wanted a no-brainer job. I was exhausted. I don't usually mention this, but I got a job as a photographer. I've always loved photography, and I do all my photography on the website and brochures. I always have. And I got a job as a photographer at the MGM at the time. Remember, I used to go to the concerts, the big theaters, and they had the girls in little skirts come around, take your picture. And when I went in to get fitted for it, and they showed me how short the skirt had to be, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just cannot do this.
I'm not doing that.
I went back to square one, and I answered an ad to be a stockbroker for this special program. This gal named Kathy Boyce. She's amazing. She brought in 4 young talents, and she taught us everything. I'd never taken a business class. And they sent me to LA for a crash course 3-week thing. And then for 3 weeks, I learned to drink coffee, and I sat in my apartment alone on the floor, and I studied, and I went and took my series 6 and 7 and passed them on first round.
Wow.
So I was 24 then and stockbroker, and I hated it. Hated it. I loved all the number stuff that I had to learn to get it, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. And the odds that if I called 10 people and 9 of them hung up, but 1 listened to me just wasn't, it was against my grain.
Yeah.
So one day I was teaching a financial class at the library and somebody says, you can do these strawberry things. You're doing this number thing. Cause I always brought the berries still. And that was my light bulb.
That was it. Tell us a little bit about, following your emotional heart. Cause that's one of the bylines we have here at the podcast is to follow your emotional heart. I felt like I've done that in my career. And I know that you've done that in your career. It just runs out of you. I've known you for a long time, and you've always been the same absolute fan of doing what you love to do, and the berries were it for you. So how much does that mean to follow that emotional heart?
It's everything. You just told my story. When I was doing the berries, I realized that if you can do what you love for your work or your career, it makes for a more fruitful life.
Oh.
Pun intended.
Got it.
And when you add hard work together with passion, that is when anything is possible and dreams become reality. So I ended up moving to Sacramento. That old boyfriend of mine, Clay Fitzpatrick in high school, he had moved to Sacramento when I moved to LA. Oh. And if Clay was on here and he'll be listening, Clay would tell you guys that I was stalking him.
Oh, Stalkerella, huh? All right.
But it worked. It worked.
See, so I came to Sacramento. Stalking is good, right?
I came to Sacramento.
Works.
Yeah, I got a $1,500 cash advance on a credit card, and I turned my passion into a hobby. I was always a guerrilla marketer. Just business 101, low cost, unconventional, funky. I gave away more strawberries the first year than I sold because I took my strawberries to everything was going on in this town. Clay said if the wind blew, I sent out a press release. And I worked out of my house for like 2 years until I was busting at the seams and opened our first store on Auburn Boulevard. And we had that, for 20 years. But I remember coming home from vacation and couldn't wait to get back to work.
Wow.
And I was thinking, I am on to something. So when my business was in its 4th year, we started our family right away. That's when I became a Christian. And I'm so grateful that at a young age, I learned the importance of having my priorities in the right order. My faith has always come first and then my family. That's my flock, my main flock. And then my work comes last. And, I just feel like the first 40 years of my life, my 20s and 30s, I was just so driven and what can I gain, and my ideas of success was what kind of house he lived in, what kind, money and materialistic things. And now as I'm over the hill and looking forward, I realize the most important things in life are the things you can't see. And that's a huge key to success, like peace and joy and love and hope. And my pastor one time told me, he said, Shari, I've never known anybody on their deathbed that ever wished they had spent more time at the office. And I never, ever, ever, ever forgot that. So
wow, that's
kind of my story.
I wanted to ask you, was there a moment that was like an aha moment for you where you said, oh man, this is going to be my business? Was there a time when you can really definitively say that was the moment right there?
I can remember I came home one day and I said, I had 3 orders today, 3 orders in one day. I can just remember that. If I could get 3 orders a day, I could pay all my bills. I was a single woman, had a little apartment on Fulton Avenue. I literally started this business in Sacramento with $1,500 on a cash advance credit card at Safe Credit Union and in a little apartment. I went to Denials and got a card table and got a little bit of chocolate and started and gave them away. And maybe this is going to work. And
Shari, I know one time you said that God has been your greatest business partner. So tell us how that faith has carried you through the ups and downs in business.
Well, when my business was in its 9th year, I was overwhelmed. I was so stressed out. I had 3 stores, a factory, 2 little boys, and a 3rd one on the way. We were doing 35% same store sales increase year after year. And I was it was nuts. And there's this brand new thing called the internet. And I'm not a tech girl. I'm a berry dipper, just likes to work, play, and have fun and be innovative. And so when I was approached by a young tech-minded corporate lawyer with a deal of a lifetime, I went all in immediately. I was so excited to have a partner. I was so excited to have a partner that I didn't know I was supposed to get my own lawyer. I thought he was my lawyer. He was awesome. Wow. I, kind of bragged before that I never had any business school, but because I didn't have any business school, I didn't know that 51% rule and what things can happen. And it took me about a year to realize, I signed and we went and we did berries.com nationwide and just rocked, and it blew up and working harder. But after 10 years of a board of directors controlling things and me getting chipped away at and my heart broken, remember I wear my heart on my sleeve. Yep. The early 2000s, we had the .gone area where the bubble burst, and they had brought in a CEO that didn't like that I didn't have any debt and did what everybody else did and, got some debt going outside of the stock, and we just couldn't manage it. So I fell below the 51% ownership line. And it was kind of like a hostile takeover. The board of directors voted to sell it off to San Diego-based ProFlowers for pennies on the dollar. And I got nothing because my stock, and it was just gone.
Yeah, I understand.
It was like 22 years.
Yeah, I've seen that.
22 years of blood, sweat, and tears just gone. Wow. And you don't even know how you'll survive. It was the hardest time in my life. It was rough.
But Shari, look, you're a founder of a great company. Your Berried in Chocolate company is amazing. And I just want to say out there right now for anybody that hasn't tried, Shari's business, go to Berried in Chocolate and check out what she can deliver. There's so many questions I want to ask you. Number one, I want to ask you what makes such a great leader, especially, as a woman. You're the founder of a company. Tell us, first of all, what makes a great leader?
You got to surround yourself with great people. Clay always reminded me that I'm only as strong as my weakest link.
Yeah.
I surrounded myself with, wisdom and hung on that. I've never asked any of my employees to do anything that I hadn't already done or wouldn't do. We have a lot of fun, and it's a fun atmosphere. I want my employees to have the job that I would want to have, fun. And, we have a good time and take care of all my girls and all my guys. And
Great.
We have, I surprise them with trips to Disneyland, lots of gifts,
wow.
Jewelry catalogs, pick out whatever you want. And this is your budget. Just fun stuff.
Where do you get those great big strawberries? People ask me that all the time. How do they stay so fresh? They're so big and plump. I got to ask you that. And also, I want you to tell us a little about your speaking business and your wine label. So there's three questions there for you. You can go ahead and hit them all as you wish. Tell me about the strawberries.
Okay, I'm not telling. That's a trade secret.
Are these like part of the Wizard of Oz? Do they come from somewhere like that, or what do you?
I have Oompa Loompas in the back, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is my favorite movie ever.
So you got them all. I bet it would be. Why wouldn't it? Okay, how about speaking and wine label?
Oh, yeah. No, today I'm a professional speaker. That's my main career and what I do. I just want to be a berry dipper. And now God's given me this platform to encourage thousands of people, a lot of entrepreneurs. I am a magnet for innovators, dreamers, and entrepreneurs. And right now I'm kind of in this campaign where if you have a talent or a product or idea or a secret family recipe or something that everybody goes, you should sell this or do this, I encourage everybody now to take it out for a spin. The last couple of years have been rough on a lot of us. We've all experienced a lot of loss. We all need a lot of hope. And I'm grateful. I'm back innovating and having fun. And you got to check out my new grapes. They're called Grateful. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for what I have. We got to, like driving in a car, we got to look straight ahead, stop looking in the rearview mirror, what we wish we had, what we used to have, how it used to be, and look forward with what we do have and just be grateful for what we have. And so you can send a big cluster of grapes to somebody and tell them how grateful you are for them at Valentine's Day. Nobody wants to hear about sour grapes, right? We've all have our troubles. Yeah. We live on a broken planet. This is not heaven. This is earth. It's just like the older we get, we realize life is just a series of one problem after the other or one heartache after the other and how we deal with it. And basically looking at life at the glass half full. So when I lost my company, I realized that through that difficulty, through hardships is a lot of times when we learn the most and our character is built, not when we don't have a care in the world. But I learned that dipping strawberries in chocolate was not who I was. It was just what I did. And that disappointments in life are unavoidable. But for us entrepreneurs, discouragement is a choice. And it turned out that God is much more interested in my character than my comfort. And so I had no idea how beauty could come from this horrible brokenness that I was going through, but it was just one day at a time. one foot in front of the other. And I read an article during that time that a woman had done all this research on successful entrepreneurs in our country. And she wanted to know if there was any common denominators amongst them that weren't really obvious. And what she found was that the majority of all successful entrepreneurs in our country have their biggest success right after their biggest failure. Wow. And so that was proof to me that quitting is just not an option, and you have to have perseverance. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's in your blood. It's not something you become. It's just who you are, and giving up is just not a choice. And change and problems and difficulties are constant in this life this short life. And so after I lost my company, I got a book deal with Pelican Publishing, hard copy, yes. And it's called Buried in Chocolate. Mm-hmm. And it's actually dipped in chocolate too. I don't know if you know this, but you can buy my book wrapped in chocolate, and it's like a candy bar. It has an 8-month shelf life. So you can send somebody chocolate covered passion.
Okay.
But the reader can eat my chocolate while they read my story. It's a dozen chapters.
That. It's a beautiful book.
It's a dozen different lists. Isn't it pretty?
It's a beautiful book. Wait till they see it. Shari,
it's amazing.
We talk about this so much on the podcast. I talk about it as a speaker as well. Failure is really critical to the sequence in becoming successful, because failure is part of the whole scheme, is it not? I know you're not afraid to fail.
Yeah. No, it's just crazy. It just out of the ashes, and beauty can come from our brokenness. And a few years after my book was published, my book encourages me back. I get all these messages from people that have read it. It's a really light read. Clay says I make them look really good. And also the chocolate dip book is trademarked. It's the first book in the world with calories. And I don't want to forget to tell you that. One night I was going to bed and I was looking on my cell phone, was anything interesting before I go to bed. And there's a subject line all in uppercase with all these exclamation points. And it said, "You saved my life." Oh, and I didn't know if it was a joke or spam or what. And so I opened it up, and here's this message, and it's on my website. My main website is this ShariFitzpatrick.com. I just want to say that because that's where you'll find my chocolate, my speaking, my B&B, which also is part of my ministry, Boys and Berries. And I want to make sure you have that too, because that's my new passion project.
Yes.
Anyway, there's this message from this girl telling me in a roundabout way that someone gave her my book that wanted to inspire her and motivate her to market her mind and not her body. And she said I saved her life because he gave her a copy of my book and she escaped human trafficking. As a little girl, her nickname is Neat. And as a little girl, she loved watching her aunt bake. And so she said my book was her business school. It's just a dozen lessons I learned about taking my passion to profit. She said my book was her business school, and she opened her own cupcake bakery. And now she started being a speaker. You should see her beautiful picture. I pulled up her picture and I Googled her and I looked in her big brown eyes and I just cried. I'm like, there it is. There's my beauty from my brokenness. There she is.
Right. That's
if
amazing.
My dumb little strawberry story can save a girl's life, then there's my purpose. And God gave us all a purpose. When we can find our purpose, that's where we get really on fire, and we have that power and that drive and that tenacity to follow our dreams and never give up.
Yeah, I love that. One of the more popular financial investments in the market today is cryptocurrency and blockchain. You've heard a lot about it. Bitcoin and others make the news on a regular basis. But it's a new currency and a new process that many of us don't really know or understand, and that's where Sarson funds come in. They build your confidence with knowledge of the investment. They're a leading educator for financial advisors and consumers. I know. I personally have investments with Sarson. They have a passion for cryptocurrency with a team that boasts a wealth of knowledge in the industry. More importantly, they have the resources to help us, you and me, learn about this new and exciting investment opportunity, like Cryptocurrency 101. It's yours by simply visiting the website and clicking on Education and Marketing. If you want to learn more, if you're looking to get a high-level Wall Street-grade understanding of cryptocurrency and blockchain, visit sarsonfunds.com. They've helped me understand why this is a great investment tool and to better understand what it's all about. Sarson Funds. Real. Clear. Crypto. Sometimes it's tough to get motivated when you're working on your own. Happens to me when I've got nobody to bounce ideas off or share thoughts. That's why there's General Provision. It's more than a collaborative workspace. It's a club. It's a community of like-minded people, anti-office, a private work club for founders, makers, and creators. You can join the remote work club for virtual, on-demand, and mailed offerings by visiting generalprovision.com. Check it out. Shari, tell us about 40 years with the same man. Your husband, Clay. You guys have been together 40 years, married nearly 30.
Yes.
Heck, if it wasn't for that stocking trip you did down to California, who knows where you'd be. Tell us about your relationship with your husband.
Well, I think being equally yoked is so important in a marriage. You know, nothing's perfect, and two imperfect people aren't going to make a perfect couple. So just the main thing for me is respect. I have so much respect for Clay. I would never embarrass him or humiliate him in front of anybody. Mm-hmm. And we learn which buttons to push and not to push. And I work really hard when I'm so mad at him and I just want to like kill him. I just leave, you know, and just be quiet. And he's really funny. Mm-hmm. And I recommend that to girls to marry a funny guy, because about the time I want to kill him, he makes me laugh.
Yeah.
But we're celebrating our 30-year anniversary and in a few months. And one of my girlfriends, associate in work, she goes, "Oh my gosh," she goes, "I'll never forget the 3 secrets you told me to a successful marriage." And I'm thinking, I did? What were they? Oh my gosh. And she goes, "No," she says, don't tell me. I'm like, okay. She says, "You told me don't ever share a closet or a bathroom. Mm-hmm. Don't ever share a checking account. And then the other thing, like I said, is just to never embarrass them in public or dirty laundry in public kind of thing." But yeah, no, there was nothing else I ever wanted. You know, I met him when I was 16 years old and have a picture of us on my graduation day. And I would have married him that day. I was in love. I didn't need anything else, but I had a lot of growing up to do. And he was 4 years older than me. And God was going to teach me patience, and he made me wait for 10 years, you know. Wow. But I held out, man, hold out. Just pick the right mate.
You can see it in your eyes right now when you talk about Clay. You just kind of you just light up, and you're just in a different atmosphere. I just think it's great. Shari, one more thing I got to ask you about. Ted Nugent is a huge fan of yours. He's a huge fan of yours, and I love Ted Nugent too. Tell us about Ted Nugent wanting, what is it? He wanted cherries instead of berries? I mean, how did you get him on the right track?
Well, he loves chocolate dipped cherries. Mm-hmm. So I've chocolate dipped soccer balls. I've had radio people want me to chocolate dip them. Oh. Chocolate dip my wine is chocolate dipped. You can wake up the caviar hangover at the same time.
Your book is?
I mean, we just chocolate dip here. My book is. My grapes, my new grapes, all my new funky things. You know, those strawberries were just my first idea. That's all they got.
So I didn't know you can chocolate dip people. That is a new one on me, I'll tell you.
We would take a lot of chocolate. Anyway, okay, so I love to market. So like I would do campaigns. Okay, anybody who has the name, anything to do with chocolate or strawberries or berries, we're going to find them and get them strawberries. And so Halle Berry was one of them, and she became a huge client. And when she won the Oscar, we're like, yay! Next day, big old list of gifts, you know. So that's always fun. And then whenever I go to a concert, whenever I fly on a plane or I go on to a concert, I always bring berries with me. And my goal is to see how far I can get behind the curtain, like a concert, and try to get them berries. And I did at a Ted Nugent. I went back and he's hard rock, Clay's a rock and roller. It was Clay's like Father's Day gift. And he was at Jackson Rancheria, which is just half an hour away from here. So I took Clay to Ted Nugent for Father's Day, and I get backstage and get to his closest security guard, and I get a call from Ted. In fact, I could call Ted right now and he'd answer. We could have him right on the show if you want.
I'll bet. That is amazing.
If you got time, let's call him.
Call him up. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Let's call him.
Get Ted Nugent on the Sax in the Morning. We got to get Ted to come on our podcast. That'd be great.
Oh my God, yeah, he'll come on your show.
Yeah, I mean, I could do cat scratch fever. I mean, I'm loving it.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull Ted up. I can tell you this: if he doesn't answer the phone, which you probably will, he'll text me right back.
Oh, isn't that cool?
If he's in an interview or something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call him. But let's call him.
All right.
Hold on. Okay, here we go. Come on, Ted.
Oh, gosh. We're getting Ted.
See, he could be out killing something.
Yeah, he might.
Leave a message. At the tone, please record. See, he's out killing something. But he'll call right back. He'll call right back, and I'll send you the message. Hey, Ted, this is your favorite strawberry girl, Shari Fitzpatrick. You're probably out killing something. Hey, I am on Steve Sax's Sax in the Morning podcast, and your name came up, and so I want you to call me back. They want to have you on the show too, so let me know, and I'll hook you up when you can be on their show. It's really awesome. It's about life and money and all kinds of things, and we really want you on there.
Shari, that is some outreach right there. That's what I'm talking about.
If you go to my YouTube channel, you can watch messages from Ted that he's recorded for me. And then also I was his main guest on his Spirit Campfire show last February. And that's also on all my stuff that you can watch me and Ted on his show. He's nuts. He's nuts.
That is great.
But I love them.
I've always been a huge fan of Ted's. Shari, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Is the fact that you've done so much of this as a woman, have you felt like you've busted through a lot of boundaries? Have you felt like you've shattered the glass ceiling? Or has that even mattered to you whatsoever? I mean, the fact that you're a woman, has it made something even more special for you, or did it even matter? Did you think about it?
If anything, I think it's been an asset to be a woman. You know, I love it. I stand out in a crowd.
Yep.
Everybody else is in their ugly blue polyester suits, and I show up in a black dress, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not very shy.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that's going to hold you back too much.
Yeah. I mean, when there's a party or something, I'm in the kitchen talking sports with the guys. I can't handle the whole girl thing. Yeah. So for me, I stand out in a crowd, and it's been an asset. I love that answer. I love that answer because you don't seem to follow the script. And as a speaker, I'm really rough around the edges. You know, I get really involved in takeaways for them and what they're there for. Mm-hmm. You know, they say I'm a meeting planner's dream because I really adjust. You know, I have a 45-minute modular talk, and then I adjust it based on how much time I have, what the objective of the planner is, how much time I have, what the theme is. Mm-hmm. And so I get real personal with them. I don't like any kind of podium. I'm out. Mm-hmm. I'm giving away berries. I find out who's the head guy in charge and ask him ahead of time. We have these caramel apple wedgies, and my son, when he was 13, called them wedgies, best wedgie you'll ever have. And they're so good. So I always give a wedgie to somebody, and it's just like huge laugh. So there's a lot of humor. I get them laughing, and then I get them crying. I get really real with everything horrible that I went through when I lost my business. It was hard and difficult, and now see, if I hadn't lost my company, I would be the most boring speaker in the world. I'd be up there, hey, it's so easy, what's wrong with you? But it's down in the trenches. My heart was broken. I had to lean on the Lord and my faith, and I had a family to take care of, and I just had to trust and somehow get there. And it's still hard. You know, I haven't done much marketing. It's hard for me to let people know that I'm not Shari's Berries anymore. Here I'm trying to build this speaking career, and I'm Shari of Shari's Berries. I founded it. I birthed it, but it still has my name on it. And it's really confusing. And at the holidays, we have to have a full-time person to manage Shari's Berries customer service issues because they find me. Wow. So they order from Shari's Berries, and they come to me because they can't get to anybody because they got to go to India or, you know, the Philippines, and no one can help them. And when you give a gift, it's important. It's not just that it's chocolate chip strawberries. It's just that it's really great and really nice and special. And it means something, a lot. It's anniversaries and birthdays and thank yous from big clients. And I got to tell you that yesterday I happened to see this message, and I grabbed it and to remind myself to share it with you. This was yesterday. I made an extra label. I saw it going down production line, and somebody was sending this to a real estate office. And the card says, for the office agents to try, since we no longer deal with or support in any way Shari's Berries. from Carrie, the office manager. So, I mean, the Shari's berries are not how they were.
Right.
Or how they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wasn't in the berry business for several years after I lost the company. My heart was broken, and I'd never agreed to a non-compete, though. It's the only thing I did smart is because I'm not going to not do that. That's my gig. And so anyways, somehow I got that. So I serve berries to the whole audience when I speak. And after a few years, people started coming up to me and saying, well, how can we get berries from you? And I have to go, oh, you can't. Sorry about that, because the berries weren't the same.
Yeah.
No TLC, cheap as they can be made. Just, I don't want no sour grapes. I use that with my grateful.
Yeah.
To be grateful. So nobody wants to hear sour grapes. But so how do I tell people? I'll speak to an audience and have them crying, and they'll go order Shari's berries. Because when you put in berried in chocolate, they've bought in all of that for millions of dollars, and it's a $50 million brand. And you have to kind of scale down and make sure you're ordering it berried in chocolate kind of thing,
Right. Sure.
If you want the same berries as you remember from years past, you just got to move over to me and get the real thing. My hashtag is The Real Shari. You can go to therealshari.com and you'll find me there. Just Shari Fitzpatrick. Simple, simple, simple.
Listen, we've kept you so long, but I can't tell you how much we appreciate having you on. You are going to be just an amazing inspiration for so many people, and I've always admired you, and I'm just so thankful that you took the time to come on today, and just really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And, I'd be an absolutely horrible entrepreneur if I didn't remind everybody that we have a holiday coming up, and make sure you order from The Real Shari.
Absolutely.
Berried
Where
in
can
chocolate.
they get it? Where can they get it, Shari? Tell us again where we can order all of our strawberries for Valentine's Day. Okay,
well, you go to berriedinchocolate.com.
Okay.
And it's BERRIED, berried like a berry, berriedinchocolate.com. But if you spell it correctly, it'll come to me too. You can also go to ShariFitzpatrick.com, and then please have me as your speaker at your next event, or let me open for Steve at his next event. And then we'll serve, we need to mention we're going to have these Steve Sachs baseball berries package on our website for Valentine's over the next 2 weeks. You're going to love it. And then we'll start maybe adding some of Steve's swag, baseball hats and mugs and things like that to it.
Love
you can get. It's a great gift for him or the sports lover, and they're fantastic. And just always remember that making a living is not as important as making a life. Life is short, and you got to enjoy it.
Perfect.
And remember what's most important.
Yeah. Thank you, Shari. Thanks so much for your kind words too. Appreciate it. If you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share the program. Also, be sure to listen to my Sacks in the Morning shorts 3 days a week for a couple of minutes of uplifting suggestions to get your day off to a great start. Our music is performed by my adorable niece, Elena Jane. And remember, to reach your goals and your dreams, follow your emotional heart.